Hey, everybody, this is Coach Troy, and this is another podcast segment of Talking with Coach Troy. How do you like that name? Well, today I have my guest, and my guest is Alan Macdougall from Branford, Connecticut. Let me give you a little bit of background really quick. So I met Alan, several years ago at one of my Lake Placid camps, I think it was, Alan, or you can correct us. But I just remember meeting you, and you made an impression on me immediately because you're really dedicated to the sport. And I know you've been a lifelong athlete, so I'm really happy to have you on the show. And the other thing is Alan has been my Spinnerville's membership director now for a couple of years and has done a great job on our Spinnerville's membership page and helping other members really understand the value of the videos, the training programs, and everything else. So, Alan, welcome to my show.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Yeah, sure thing. So, Branford, Connecticut. You like to change the seasons. How many years have you lived there? Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I've been here for about 20 years. I grew up in upstate New York, went to the University of Rochester. So I spent most of my first 30 years in New York State. Got married. My wife had a pharmaceutical job. We moved down to Branford, and I never thought I would live in Connecticut. You know, you don't think I'm going to live in Connecticut one day. That's my plan. And the thing I really love about it is we're right on the water. I mean, I can't see the water from my house, which is good because, you know, as the sea levels rise, I don't have to worry about my home being impinged by the sea. But I basically can't go out and run or bike without seeing the ocean. It's where I swim in the summer. So it's, you know, if it wasn't cold in the winter, it would be perfect.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your sporting background. So I'm really curious. I know you're an avid triathlete. You've done a bunch of Ironman races. I know that you like cycling. I know you're an avid runner too, and a really good runner, very competitive. But you're also a black belt in Taekwondo. So you've got all these different sporting elements. Talk about your sports history.
I've kind of been everywhere at some point in my life. I started out as like the smallest kid in my class. You know, I love to play sandlot football and baseball and stuff like that. Little League was the first organized sport that I played, but it was obvious to me I didn't have a future in baseball. When I got into high school, I ran track and cross country. Loved it. Went to college and didn't do it at all. I had to work 20 hours a week to pay for school, but I started to play intramural sports. So floor hockey, soccer, volleyball, you name it, whatever sport they had organized, I would play it at night. You know, we'd play and then we'd drink beer and eat pizza afterwards. But when I moved to Connecticut, I got back into the running because now I was an adult. You know, you don't have those opportunities to, when you leave school, you don't have those opportunities to play sports with your buddies anymore. My wife was a triathlete. I went to Lake Placid with her. She did Ironman Lake Placid around 2000. And it's like the most incredible place in the world, right? And that race and those fans and the support, I was like, I have to do this. And the thing is, I didn't know how to swim. So a year later, we're both in the water, and this is back when they had the mass starts. Mm-hmm. And I literally thought maybe I will die today. I don't know if I'll be alive at the end of this day because I'd never been in the water. And at the time, they only had 1,800 people in the race, but I'd never been in the water with 1,800 people at once. And it was pretty intimidating, but, you know, I got through it. So, and I've done a few more since then.
Yeah, you're still here. How many Ironmans have you done?
18 now.
18. Holy smoke. That's great. Good for you. Yeah, that's always intimidating. Those mass start swims. Boy, I remember those. They were something else. That was that they were pure. I mean, that was intense. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. So Ironman and swimming was your weakness. I know you're a good cyclist because I've ridden a lot with you at those Lake Placid training camps. But the running is your strength, right?
Well, the secret is I'm actually a better cyclist, but because I don't do any road racing, nobody knows it. You know, running is is kind of where my pedigree is. It's where, if you look at my results, that's where all kind of the output has been. But my secret strength has always been I'm a little better on the bike than I am as a runner. So,
Okay.
and if I wasn't such a terrible swimmer, you'd probably see and hear more about me. But
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything about your swim, Alan. I mean, I've seen you swim, but I'll leave that alone here for this interview.
well, I will say for people out there that something that really helped me is we got a Vasa swim trainer.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I don't like to get in the water, and I'm not going to get in the water that much. I'm on this thing like 6 days a week.
Yeah.
I just do 20 minutes in the morning. It's my first workout in the morning, which means I get all those biological processes going, which means my other workouts go better as well.
Sure.
I used it for about 6 weeks before Florida, and I had one of my best swims ever.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. The Vasa ergometer, is that what you have?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a great tool supplementing your actual swimming. I like that. All right. So Ironman, then you became a coach. I mean, you actually loved it so much. And I know you've helped me out many years at my Lake Placid training camp, which I've always really appreciated. And the campers have all really appreciated your input. But then I believe you went through the Ironman University certification program. Tell us a little bit about your coaching.
So actually, the funny thing is I've been a coach for much of my adult life. I started out as a field hockey coach. When I got to college, again, I had to work, so I couldn't play sports, but I got involved with the women's field hockey and lacrosse teams. And, I started out like as a manager basically, and then moved my way up to assistant coach. Then I coached high school field hockey as a head coach. I coached women's lacrosse as a head coach, and I coached track and field as an assistant coach, all while I was in Rochester. Then I came to Connecticut, and I coached women's lacrosse again at the high school level for a couple of years. And then I coached for 4 years as the assistant women's lacrosse coach at the University of New Haven. So I had quite a bit of coaching experience. And then I had a son who's 15, and I stopped coaching completely because coaching a sport at the high school or college level, it's very time consuming. And when you have your own children, it's not a great fit. You're traveling on the weekends, you're coaching outside of your regular work hours. So you've got a day job and you're coaching. And I thought, I'll never coach again. And then the Ironman certification process came along, and I was like, you know what? I can definitely do this. I know a lot about the sport. I've coached at camps. I coached track and field when I was, an adult. I can take this next step. And it was an interesting process because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to pass. I didn't really know if my knowledge set was that good. So it was really nice to be able to do it. And as somebody who, I'll admit, I coach myself, to actually be able to coach myself knowing that I know something and I'm not just making things up as I go along. Or, a lot of people, they hire a coach for a season or two, they get a training plan, and then they try to reapply it to themselves over and over again, even though you're never the same athlete, right? From season to season, from race to race, you're always changing. Your body's adapting, it's changing, it's getting better, it's getting worse. Your nutrition needs, everything about you changes, monthly, yearly. Yeah. And so I always think it's interesting when I talk to people, I'm using, the program that I got from so-and-so 2 years ago. And I'm like, it's better than not doing anything, but are you really, you're not really servicing yourself. So like for me, part of the coaching certification process was just trying to be a better athlete.
Yeah. Learn a little bit more, get some different perspectives. I heard they had some great coaches in that certification who put it together.
I think I know one of them.
So that's so continuing to expand your knowledge base. I mean, that's the key, right? Always learning something new, learning something different. I mean, the day that you think you know everything, you are probably on a downward slope and declining in terms of your knowledge about everything, right?
Yeah, and every person's different. I'm not like a type of person that needs a lot of motivation to work out. You don't have to spend hours talking to me to get on my bike or put on a pair of running shoes or, at least get on the Vasa. You might have to spend that kind of time to get me in the pool. But so that part of it's always been easy for me. I recover quickly. I like volume. I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm going to go out and do the physical work. But if you're not putting the mental work into it, if you're not really looking at making sure that your in race and out of race nutrition is properly balanced, if you're not making sure that your recovery is planned properly and you're not periodizing your training, it doesn't matter how much effort physically you put into it, because the mental part of the game you've dropped, and the mental part of the game will kill you, especially at longer distance racing. If you don't have that part of it down, you're just not going to be successful.
Yeah, agreed. Tell me, let's shift gears a little bit. So you got involved with doing spinnerals a while back, and I guess being up in Connecticut where it's cold in the winter and you can't get outside as much, that probably attracted you to the video series. Can you tell in just about 30 seconds how you got involved in spinnerals, and then how you got yourself into that next level and actually helping other people use the videos?
So VCR tape is the first thing. We had uphill grind, and we had sweating buckets, and we had muscle breakdown, and a few of the other, classic videos on video cassette. And, we got them from the local bike shop back when they sold those kind of things there. And yeah, from November to really at least March, it's not fun to ride outside. And I did a year or two of that. And I was like, I paid my dues to outside. I'm not riding when it's 35 degrees and cold and raining ever again outside. And because there were all these great workouts, and, I still go back to even the oldest workouts and go, now that there's so many of them. And I do use Zwift, and there's other things that I do, but I'll be honest, some days I hop on Zwift, I don't even look at it. I put in the video and I do the video, and I find that I still get a better workout just from the variation that you've put into the workouts. Then you can ride on Zwift for 2 hours and you're in the same gear the whole time and you're just cranking away. And it's not a valuable way necessarily. There's a value in doing that sometimes, but if that's what you're doing all the time, you're not going to get better. You're going to get worse.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate all your help with the other members of the Spinnerals family who do the videos and share what they're doing on a regular basis to the Facebook group. So thanks for your continual help with those folks. So one more thing I want to talk about, and that is your love of beer. I mean, we have this in common, and better yet, once in a while doing a little day drinking around lunchtime, of course. So what's your favorite beer?
There's almost no way to answer that question because I like everything, but a good bourbon barrel beer, like a bourbon barrel ale, is usually like my go-to, and then a bourbon barrel stout would be second. So when I went and did Ironman Louisville, they have what they call Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, and it's just, I love it. Wow.
That would be dangerous. I have to stay away from those. I might like it too much.
Well, I was joking last night. On Monday night, we have a dinner group that can't meet now because of social distancing, so we've been doing it on Zoom. And a big part of that is we bring beers we haven't had before and sample them. And I was saying I'm kind of in a feedback loop right now where I work out more so I can drink more beer. I drink more beer so I can work out more so I can drink more beer. And it's like,
That's awesome.
What's your favorite?
Oh, nothing wrong with a good beer. Oh boy, I like IPAs are my favorite. I just have always liked the bitter beers, and I don't know, I've got a lot of brands. There's one out here in Tucson. It's called Dragoon. It's a really good IPA out this way. But I'm also a bourbon fan these days, so I try to keep my balance going between my bourbons and my beers.
Well, see, that's with the bourbon barrel aged beers. You've got both at once.
Both at once, yeah. There you go. Maybe I should just go with those. Well, listen, I really appreciate you jumping on today. And anybody out there who wants more information about the Spinnerals membership, you'll see Alan on the Spinnerals member page area. And he's going to be doing some coaching for us as well. So very qualified coach. So you can work with Alan one-on-one and get some of his experience to help you become a better athlete. So Alan, once again, thanks so much for being on my podcast. And everybody, I want to thank you for checking in. Hopefully you enjoy these interviews with really interesting people as we talk about endurance sports and the business of endurance sports. And I hope you continue to watch. Till next time, train safe and train smart.